The city was alive with its usual chaos. Cars honked, people rushed, shops buzzed with life. No one imagined that, in a matter of seconds, everything could change. It started like any ordinary morning. John, a 32-year-old office worker, was heading to work when the ground shook violently. A sudden rumble. A crash. Screams erupted from every direction. The building he was in, a 7-story office complex, collapsed in a cloud of dust and concrete. Metal beams twisted like wires. Glass shattered everywhere. The air was thick with debris. John didn't even have time to react. The floor beneath him crumbled. He fell into darkness. Concrete pinned him down. The weight of steel and stone pressed against his chest. At first, he tried to move, but his legs were trapped under a fallen beam. Panic set in. He tried calling for help. His voice was barely a whisper beneath the deafening silence of destruction. Time seemed to lose meaning. Minutes stretched into hours. The sun outside shone, but inside his concrete prison, John could barely see his own hands. Day 1. He tried to stay calm. He remembered everything he had learned about survival. He focused on breathing slowly, conserving energy. But the pain in his legs was unbearable. Each movement sent sharp jolts of agony through his body. He reached for his phone. It was still in his pocket. 1 bar of battery remained. He sent a quick text. Trapped. Need help. He hoped someone would get it. Hours passed with no response. Day 2. Hunger began to gnaw at him, but thirst was worse. His mouth was dry. He licked the dust on his lips. Every breath was painful. He heard the distant sounds of chaos outside, the sirens, the shouts, but no one came to him. He tapped on the concrete wall with his hand. Tap, tap, tap. He hoped someone above would hear. Day 3. His energy was fading. He found a tiny puddle of rainwater that had seeped through a crack in the ceiling. It was dirty, brownish, but it was water. He drank it slowly, savoring every drop. Hallucinations started to appear. He thought he saw people walking past him, but when he turned his head, there was nothing. His mind struggled to distinguish reality from imagination. Day 4. He tried to shift a beam with all his might. It barely moved. He realized he was completely alone. No one knew he was down there. He was on his own. John started to ration the small water puddle he had found. Every drop mattered. He closed his eyes and tried to meditate, to calm his racing heart. Day 5. The world above had started to assume he was gone. Rescue teams were exhausted. Families mourned. They declared parts of the building cleared. But John refused to give up. He remembered his daughter's smile, her last words before leaving the house. Stay safe, Dad. That memory became his lifeline. Day 6. Pain overwhelmed him. He couldn't move without crying out. His body ached, but he refused to surrender. He listened carefully for any sounds of life outside. Sometimes he heard nothing. Sometimes he heard faint voices, but they never came close. He tapped on the wall again. Tap, tap, tap. Day 7. The hallucinations grew stronger. John thought he saw a rescue worker reaching for him. He tried to grab the hand, but it vanished. Fear and hope clashed in his mind. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to give in, but he held on. Day 8. He had no strength left to tap. His lips were cracked. His tongue burned. He whispered to himself, I can't die. I have to survive. Then he heard it. A faint knock from above. He froze. Was it real? His heart raced. He tapped back as hard as he could. Tap, tap, tap. A voice shouted, Is someone there? John cried. Tears mixed with dust on his cheeks. He shouted, Yes, I'm here, please. Day 9. Rescuers worked tirelessly. They dug through the rubble carefully, fearing he might be injured further. Hours later, light pierced the darkness. They lifted the heavy beam. John blinked, overwhelmed by sunlight for the first time in 9 days. They carried him out. The crowd gasped. Doctors rushed to stabilize him. He was weak, dehydrated, and in pain. But he was alive. The doctor said something he would never forget. You survived because you refused to give up. You fought every single second. John spent months recovering. Physically and emotionally, the ordeal left scars. But he never stopped telling his story. He wanted the world to know. No matter how dark the place, no matter how impossible the situation, the human spirit can survive against all odds. 9 days trapped under rubble. Alone, hungry, thirsty, hopeless, yet alive. And that day, John became a symbol of hope, courage, and resilience. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real survival stories that show the power of human courage.